everybody, and I welcome all those who are first time here with us. As you know, in 2 weeks we will have a big party here, birthday of 10 years for the church. So we are inviting you everyone to come. It will be a big party, big celebration for Jesus. Because 9 years, almost 10, God is leading and standing in the head of this church. In all those 10 years, God gave us words. Many people got saved. Many people got healed. Many families came to be together again. Marriage, relationship, restart again. And we have many reasons to be thankful to God. So on the 4th of March, we all gonna be here to celebrate. We're gonna post it everywhere in the Facebook, in all the YouTube channels for all you to come. I'm sure it will be a big and special celebration for each of us too. And we are welcoming Vika back to us. She gave birth 2 weeks ago. Our little girl, her name is Abigail. Her husband was not able to come today, but next week we will be able to celebrate it together with him. And Vika also has a testimony to share with us. So next week if she will want, she gonna do it. About how God working in her life with this miracle kid. So it's so cool. And it's the second kid that born here in our church, the Guards of Zion, and all of those kids were from Vika. Thank to Jesus. More kids here with us. So, as you remember, guys, last week we were talking about to restart the prophetic altar. I told you and I promised you that we will continue to talk about this. So today we will continue to do it. I think that this theme is very actualic for today. But this message of today will not called like the last one. It will be a continuation of the last, but the name will be different. The name of this message today will called Prophets from the Blacklist. Sounds funny for you, huh? But there are prophets like this. Because we are a prophetic apostolic church. As you see behind me, you can see 2 wings. So one of them I'm calling the apostolic and the other one prophetic. We have to remember this all the time. We must have a balance. We cannot walk just into the apostolic call and we cannot just go to the prophetic call. And we always have to keep this balance for the church to go with the vision of her. When a church doesn't have a vision, she doesn't have a goal. The people doesn't know where to go. But when the church is going with the vision from God, and more than this, when the vision is growing with years, it's probably the best thing that could happen to us. Because we are not a pray house. We are not just meeting here to pray, to bless each other. We are holding a vision with us that all talk about to raise up Israel. And whoever doesn't know our vision, he can watch in our site. You can find and read everything there. God is sharpening His prophets now. And as I feel also, this season is very special for the prophets. This season is when God is starting to work very extremely with the prophets, with prophetic people and with prophetic churches. Because if the church will not move in the prophetic gift, what will happen is the same result like happened to many other churches. With the time, the fire, the fear, the first love that was before in the beginning, starting to fade. People doesn't understanding. They doesn't know what next. Okay, I came to the church. I'm believing. I'm saved. I'm praying. But what next? I'm sure everyone had a question like this. God, what next? And I loved it. When you are moving in a living move, the stream is never stop. And the prophetic service inside the church is like the living fire stream that moving. The church will always move ahead. So the message today will talk about this, and I know that God's gonna talk to us through those words. I'm sure that each of us will take something from here today. Very important things. So, prophets from the blacklist. Who are those prophets? You know that in the Bible there are many prophets that they are in the blacklist? You're gonna tell me, Pastor, what are you talking about? It's never happened and I don't know nothing of this from the Bible. You know what is interesting? Why we're coming to the church? Many people are coming to the church to get words of relax. It's fine. Someone else needs someone to push him ahead. Another person just want to meet people, Christians. But the most, 99.99%, they are looking for a church that will calm them down, to relax them, to pat them on the head. Sometimes it feels like those people want just a Christian community that everyone gonna meet together in one place and for everyone will be comfortable to be there and relax. That they gonna love you there, they gonna feel bad for you if something happened to you, they will support you, they will take care of you, to calm you down. And somehow with all those things, the church became to be like a Christian club. And this is very nice and cute community, where everything should be normal, calm. But unfortunately, this was not the format that Jesus wanted to build on the land. And was not the meaning. So many times in prophetic churches, many people are not staying there for a while, they are just leaving. Do you know why? Because when there are prophets in the church, when there are prophetic people in the church, they will not always calm you down and pat you on your head. Because sometimes the words of God, they are like a sword to your heart. And when a sword penetrates the heart, it's very pain. It's not so comfortable. This is why people are looking for a church that it will be comfortable for them to be there. A church that will relax them, will make them feel comfortable and calm down. Will tell them the words that they want to hear. But in a prophetic church, you will always hear things that you don't want to hear. And this is why many people doesn't want to be in church like this. Because there are many more words that can be hurtful for you than words that gonna relax you. But when you are just in a relaxing place, when they are always telling you how good you are, how everything is amazing, after a few years like this, you're gonna look at yourself and you don't want even to go ahead anymore. You're gonna lay on your sofa. You will not want anymore nothing. Nothing is motivate you. Nothing will move you from the death point. So the first point we're gonna talk about today will call, does a prophet is a friend or an enemy? Let's think about this. I met many people. Most of the time they like me from the first time they see me. But then, after a while, they can be very disappointed from me. Do you know why? Because when we are meeting a people, we are so nice, we are so cool. And sometimes a person coming to you very heartful, pass through hard things, maybe something very serious happened in his life. You are relaxing him, you are giving him a word that will give him a good feeling, will motivate him to raise him up again, for him to do something in his life. And then after a while, this person coming back and he's already standing, everything is better. He is already understanding who he is in God, when he knows where God is calling him. But he got used to some things, where in the church all the words that he gonna hear will be for him and good for him to hear. But at the moment that this person will hear something against of what he want to hear, to many people there are very strong reaction. I'm hurtful. They told me. They hurt me. But as I'm always saying, you always know how to see who is mature enough and who is not. The reaction of someone mature in God is when the words of encouragement or criticism words will not move him from his place. He will not get crazy after he will hear one of those words. The opposite, he gonna learn from this and he will know how to hear them. He will take it to himself and learn from them. There are many people, when you are gonna say them words of encouragement, when you're gonna give them a good word, a compliment, you're gonna see them nose so high, they're gonna be proud of themselves. So important, so cool, he is going in the church, his breast is out. Those people when they are getting the compliment and they're getting so important and so holy, so cool, they can feel so bad because the proudness can destroy the relationship of them with God. Maybe the relationship between me because I told him a good word and this person will be amazing, but the relationship of him with God will be destroyed. The other category are the opposite. As long you gave him compliments, as long you holded him and gave him a good words, everything was amazing. With love, with kisses, covering him, protecting him, giving him a good words to continue to go with God. Everything is amazing. Blessings. But at the moment that God will talk through you to this person, some words that gonna be hurtful, words that he doesn't want to hear, some criticism words that showed on some sin that he did. That's it. He is hurtful. No one loves me here anymore. No one understanding me anymore. That's it. I'm not on your side anymore. I'm leaving. Or he didn't left, but he's sitting there in the church and he's so hurtful inside, with face. At the end, if this person will not be mature enough, he will leave. Because he is afraid to hear the next time, when someone gonna tell him again something that he will not like. And unfortunately, many people like this are sitting in the churches around the world. But the mature of the person, showing that he really can hear anything and accept it to his heart and to check his heart to see if he's right or no, and being right before God. He will not be proud of words, and the opposite, he will not also be hurtful or will not fall to a depression. So we're gonna read now from the Bible, Samuel 2. Do you remember the prophet that his name was Nathan? He was the prophet at the time when David was the king. So we all remember the story, and David really did a really bad thing before God. He sinned, a very serious sin. I really think it was a big thing what he did. He also killed, he also cheated. Everything in one. Everything in one act. He saw a beautiful woman that her name was Elisheva. This woman was married. David didn't care about this. He found out who was the husband of this woman. By purpose, he was sending this guy that his name was Uriah to the war, and they killed him in the war. He takes his wife and getting married with her, but he sinned already before he was married to her. And Jonathan, the prophet, he was a good friend of David. He was supporting him all the time. He always gave his shoulder to him in the bad times. And then, suddenly, when David sinned, when all this happened, Nathan, his friend, coming to the King David and telling him the next words. I'm reading from the 2nd of Samuel, chapter 12, from the sentence number 11.
This is what the Lord says. Out of your own household I am going to bring calamity on you. Before your very eyes I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you, and he will sleep with your wives in broad daylight. You did it in secret, but I will do this thing in broad daylight before all Israel. Then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan replied, The Lord has taken away your sin. You are not going to die. But because by doing this you have shown utter contempt for the Lord, the son born to you will die.
Oh my God, what words! Nathan, you came like that, but you are my friend. But you came to me as an enemy. What are you talking to me like that? Cursing me? What should be the reaction of David? Most of us was reacting like that, like I said right now. What is wrong with you? You were my friend. You should bless me, to support me, to tell me a words that gonna support and give me a good feeling I'm a king. He is coming to him and telling him direct words. That not just that God will take all his wives, he will take all of them and will give them to other men. Imagine those words that he telling him right there. I don't know what was the reaction of someone from the churches of today, the Christians. Maybe he was hitting him in his face after a word like that. I don't know the other reaction that could be here. Nathan also saying him, you did it in secret, but I will make it that all Israel will hear about what you did. In another words, it's, I will make a shame for you in front of all the nation of Israel. Your wives will belong to other men. It's a shaming. The third thing that he told him, and the baby that will be born with this woman will die. Oh my God. I imagine if today in the church will come a prophet and will say a word like this to someone here. I'm sure that 99% right there straight, this prophet will be an enemy and not a friend anymore. Straight he will go to the blacklist. You know why? It seems like the prophet should just give us a blessing, good words, to calm us, to relax us. This is what we used to think, and this is what we are thinking right now. But you know what I like about King David? He listened to him. He heard it all. Look at his reaction. Here you can see how mature he was. He said, I have sinned against the Lord. And then after he saying this, Nathan telling him, because you were asking for sorry from God, you will not die, but the kid that will be born with this woman and you, together he will die. Wow. Right away, we will punish this Nathan in his face. What he's talking to me like that? Go away and never come back to me. You are in the blacklist right now. But we need to understand, like David understood, that the prophet doesn't talking from his name. The prophet is not your enemy. Especially here, when we knew how good friends they were. And then suddenly if he came with words like that, it means that there is a really big reason for those words to come right now and to show to David that he really did a bad thing. So at the moment when a prophet coming to you, God expecting from us to be ready to hear also another words that we don't want to hear, like the reaction of David was. And you will not put this prophet in the list of the name of your enemies. Today we're gonna talk also about prophets that they are already in the blacklist. Here we can see the mature of David that we can take and learn. How we are reacting to criticism words. How you are reacting to words that you don't want to hear. Or words that you don't like to hear. As long that we are talking beautiful words, nice things, everyone likes us. Everyone is counting us as a friend. But at the moment that you will have a words from God to say that someone doesn't like, the question is what will be the way of the reaction of this person when he gonna hear those words. Do you know how many people there are that they just stopped to talk with other people just because of this person told them something real that they didn't want to hear from no one? Now I'm talking to you as a church, but also to each of you and also online. Let's take out all the blacklists that we made in our pocket. Who is there? What names you can see in your list? What prophets, what servers, what pastors? Who we put there, who we wrote in our blacklist? Who hurted us so much? Said a word to you that you didn't want to hear. Today we will go deep to those places. So this was all about Nathan and David, and now I will want to talk about one more example. It's about the prophet Micaiah. Let's open the book of 1 Kings, chapter 22, from sentence number 6.
So the king of Israel brought together the prophets, about 400 men, and asked them, Shall I go to war against Ramoth-Gilead, or shall I refrain? Go, they answered, for the Lord will give it into the king's hand. But Jehoshaphat asked, Is there no longer a prophet of the Lord here, whom we can inquire of? The king of Israel answered Jehoshaphat, There is still one prophet through whom we can inquire of the Lord, but I hate him, because he never prophesies anything good about me, but always bad. He is Micaiah son of Imlah. The king should not say such a thing, Jehoshaphat replied. So the king of Israel called one of his officials and said, Bring Micaiah son of Imlah at once. Dressed in their royal robes, the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, were sitting on their thrones at the threshing floor by the entrance of the gate of Samaria, with all the prophets prophesying before them. Now Zedekiah son of Kenana had made iron horns, and he declared, This is what the Lord says, With these you will gore the Arameans until they are destroyed. All the other prophets were prophesying the same thing. Attack Ramoth-Gilead and be victorious, they said, for the Lord will give it into the king's hand. The messenger who had gone to summon Micaiah said to him, Look, the other prophets without exception are predicting success for the king. Let your word agree with theirs and speak favorably. But Micaiah said, As surely as the Lord lives, I can tell him only what the Lord tells me. When he arrived, the king asked him, Micaiah, shall we go to war against Ramoth-Gilead or not? Attack and be victorious, he answered, for the Lord will give it into the king's hand. The king said to him, How many times must I make you swear to tell me nothing but the truth in the name of the Lord? Then Micaiah answered, I saw all Israel scattered on the hills like sheep without a shepherd. And the Lord said, These people have no master. Let each one go home in peace. The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, Didn't I tell you that he never prophesies anything good about me, but only bad? Micaiah continued, Therefore hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne with all the multitudes of heaven standing around him on his right and on his left. And the Lord said, Who will entice Ahab into attacking Ramoth-Gilead and going to his death there?
Look what the king telling here about Micaiah. He said, I hate him because he always propheting bad things about me. Who is this prophet that just prophesying bad things? So here it says about that many prophets said one thing and just Micaiah said another prophecy. In the other side it was 400 prophets that they all saying one thing, and in another side there is just Micaiah that's saying the opposite. They were prophesying to the king to go to the war. Everything will be okay. God will put the enemy in your hand. Micaiah coming and saying, No, you will not come back alive from this war. God will do it like this and like that. At this moment, one of the 400 prophets, his name was Tzedkiah, came to Micaiah and hit him on his face. So all those 400s, including this Tzedkiah that hit Micaiah in the face, they all 400 people were standing and propheting things. They were saying that they are prophets from God. They said that the Spirit of God on them. Then suddenly all those 400 saying the same, coming another one that absolutely saying the other opposite of everything that all the 400 said. And Tzedkiah, he was in shock. He's saying, what do you think who you are? You think you are better than all of us? So you're saying I'm giving a lie prophecy and you are the right one? And he is hitting his face. You know what? I want to tell you something, guys. How many fights between the prophets over there? When there are few prophetess today in the world that they are saying different things, they can fight between them. They are not agree. One saying it will be a war in Ukraine. Another prophet says it will not be a war in Ukraine. I took very actual news for today. When it was the COVID-19, one prophet says this is from God. God wants to clean the earth from sinners. Meanwhile, another prophet came and said, no, this is from the devil. This is the plan of the enemy. We're living in the last times. How many disagrees were between prophets and still till today? Even no physical fights. I'm talking right now about symbolizations. When Tzedkiah came here and hit him on the face to Micaiah, just because his prophecy was different from others. Because of that, many real prophets of God doesn't want to have anything with the big groups of people. They are not popular in the social media. They are not promoted themselves. Just because they are sure and they know that they are speaking in the name of God. Of course will come one prophet like Tzedkiah, that he will come and stand against him and maybe will hit on his face. Because a mature prophet will never discuss or fight with another prophet. He will never start to show off and to fight about the truth, because he knows that God is talking to him and he knows that those words that he said is from him. He doesn't try to improve no one. Micaiah didn't try to show off nothing to no one. Micaiah didn't hit him back. He just answered him back. In sentence 25 he said, but in another words he said to him, you know what? In the time that will come, you will know that I was saying the truth. I don't need to prove you anything. Prophets are never proving nothing. They are saying the truth that they got from God and they are sure 100% in them words. If someone's starting to fight with you, tell him that the time will come and your words will come true. Go to the side and you will see. And I'm talking also about the social media today. How many comments we can see? Fighting. This is from God. No, this is from devil. It says like this in the Bible. No, it says like this in the Bible. Listen, if you know how it's written, if God opened for you something or He showed you this, hold those words. Never try to prove your words. Don't fight with no one. Then the king here got mad on Micaiah because he said it. and he told to the servers to take him to the jail and to close him in a room, to give him just water and bread. And then he said to hold him there in the jail, in the closed room, until he is coming from the war, not to let him go. Then the answer of Micaiah was, if you will come alive from this war, I was not speaking from God. That's it. Did he came alive from the war? No, he died. Micaiah said the truth. He didn't need to prove nothing. All he said, okay, if you will come back from the war, it means I didn't talk from God. That's it. Then it means that Tzidkiah hit me on the face for a reason. He didn't fight. But look at the reaction of the king of Israel. Put him in the jail. Today there is no jail, but we all have the blacklist. The jail is the blacklist. Right away we are putting this prophet in the blacklist, like the king did, because he didn't give a prophecy of words that the king of Israel wanted to hear. He didn't give a prophecy like all the 400 prophets. You know, sometimes we don't want to sound different, to be like the white bird and when everyone is one color and you are different. For not to be different or weird, we are preferred to agree with the among of people. This shows the weakness. And people prefer to be right before the people, to be part of them, not to be different, agreeing with them. But inside of his heart, inside of your spirit, God telling them the opposite. And I like how Micaiah behaved. He was not afraid to be in the blacklist. He was not afraid to be in the jail. He was not afraid to say different and for them to hit him on the face. He was not afraid. He just came and said the truth that he knew from God. He was not afraid for people to tell him who you are, who put you to be a prophet, you saying the wrong things. He was not afraid. Like today people can say the same, who you are, what prophet you are, why you are saying those things, or who you are, a pastor, why you can say those things that you are saying. Who put you to be a pastor, apostle? God is the one who choosing those people. When God anoint a person, you can feel his anointed, his blessing from 1 kilometer away. Micaiah was not between all those 400 prophets. God chose him. The anointed of God on him was strong and powerful, and this is very important. Here we can see how David reacted before to the words of the prophet Nathan, and we can compare it to how the king of Israel reacted to Micaiah the prophet. Can you see the two different reactions? One of them right away asked for sorry from the Lord. He took it to his heart, he checked himself, he knew he was wrong. He said, yes, I'm ready to change. You know, at the time when Bathsheba was pregnant, David knew that the prophecy will be, but he maybe thought that God will forgive him. He will not let this baby to be dead. He will not give him to be die. So he was fasting, he was praying, he was asking for sorry over and over again from God. He was asking for mercy because he knew he was wrong. He thought that maybe it's gonna help for the kid not to die. But the kid really died in the end, as the prophecy of Nathan. Because if God said, he will do it. But David, till the last moment, he was ready to change and to wait for the mercy of God, with the right spirit before God. And here in the second story, we can see the absolutely opposite reaction. This is the reaction of non-mature church, non-mature people in the body of the Christ. People who reacting the same like the king of Israel reacted to the prophet Micaiah. Right away you're gonna throw them to the blacklist. You don't want to talk with them anymore and not to listen to them anymore. So let's decide, a person, prophet, or a prophetic churches, God put them in your life to be your enemies or to be your friends. We're praying and asking God, raise up prophets, but when God gonna raise them up, you will be able to listen to them and what God gonna tell them to tell you? Read in the Bible and check what is the prophetic voice. Look at Jeremiah, Yehezkel, Isaiah, what they were saying to the people. Good words, everything will be okay. Don't be afraid, calm down. No, those were the words that they were saying to the people. The words and the message that they had from God to tell to the people. Most of the time it was a warning or a very strong words that were going so deep. for changing things. And if today you think you are able to listen and you are grow enough, and you want prophets to be around you, and for you to be able to be in a prophetic church, you must to be ready, like the King David was, with his meeting with Nathan. So we have the choice if to put a prophet as our enemy or as a friend, to keep in touch with him, not to destroy the relationship because you heard some words that you don't want to hear about yourself, or you gonna write him in the blacklist. This was the first one. Now we're gonna talk about the second point. Did you heard about Obadiah? Let's open the 1 Kings, chapter number 18, sentence 3 to 4.
Elijah went to present himself to Ahab. Now the famine was severe in Samaria, and Ahab had summoned Obadiah, his palace administrator. Obadiah was a devout believer in the Lord. While Jezebel was killing off the Lord's prophets, Obadiah had taken 100 prophets and hidden them in 2 caves, 50 in each, and had supplied them with food and water.
Wow, what a brave person! Do you know this woman that we read right now about, that her name is Jezebel? Do you know what she was doing with prophets? Oh my God! Today we don't have any more Jezebel and Achav, her husband. But the spirit of Jezebel and Achav are still existing. And this spirit destroyed many churches, many lives, many families of pastors and servers of God. Whoever met this spirit of Jezebel and Achav, most of the time those spirits meeting with prophets or with prophetic churches. There is not even one prophetic church that never the spirit of Jezebel or Achav came in. If your call is to be a prophet, for sure, or you met already this spirit or you will. As a prophet, I'm telling you that if you didn't met it yet, be ready. I don't know even one prophetic church that never met this spirit. Because since the beginning, Jezebel was looking for servers of God that are calling to be prophets. She was trying to kill them all, to destroy. Jezebel running behind prophets or prophetic churches like a mouse that's running to the cheese. She's just looking where to destroy and how. She's looking for the weak points or a little holes that she can go in. And this spirit is alive, working always to destroy. But I like how Obadiah acted. He knew exactly who was Jezebel, especially because who he was. He was the palace administrator. He was inside the palace of them. He knew exactly who were Achav and Jezebel. And look how brave this man. He risked his life for saving the prophets of God. In the time of national crisis, Jezebel and Achav were the kings. They were doing terrible things. They were killing and destroying the lives of all the prophets, all the servers of God. Something that never even happened before in the history. Everyone were shaking before the words of Jezebel. She was so scary and she was able to do everything she wanted. And then suddenly here where we were reading before, someone that called Obadiah, suddenly we never heard about him before, nothing, we don't know about him. He deciding to hide in the cave the prophets. 100 prophets. He was feeding them with water and food. He didn't just hide them and run away. He was coming to them every day and feeding them, risking his life. I'm talking now about symbols too. I see Obadiah here as a pastor. This is the heart of a pastor that will not be afraid to save those prophets and the prophetic vision, even in the moment when Jezebel coming and wants to destroy the church. Can you understand what I'm saying? And we need today the pastors with the heart of Obadiah, that will be so brave, that will not be brave enough just to save themselves, but to take care about the prophets, about the servers of God. Because whenever Jezebel is attacking the church, the first thing that the pastor should do is to stay brave as Obadiah did and to take care for the prophets and the servers of God. To have the same heart as Obadiah had, not to be afraid, to keep the prophets whenever Jezebel is trying to attack all your prophets. You know what? Many pastors have lost the prophetic vision that God gave them, and they lost the prophets from the churches because the pastor didn't know how to stand before the attack of Jezebel. They were ready to leave Jezebel there in the church attacking and to run away, to leave the prophetic vision, but not to go against her, to take care for the prophets in the church. Today we need more people like Ovadia. Maybe I'm talking to someone online. Revelation for pastors. And I really want us to pray for those prophets, because I see many prophetic churches that they started a prophetic service. Suddenly prophets came to the churches, but whenever Jezebel came, she destroyed them all. The pastors were not able to do anything against her. They were not able to defend. They were afraid from her. When our church had Jezebel inside, and even not just one time, I was needed to take so radical decisions. We all, the leaders, we took very radical decisions. But this spirit of Jezebel, if you will not stop her in the beginning, it will be very hard after. You should take her and to destroy her right there. It will be hard and pain and radical, but you will cut her away. Or because you are afraid to take radical steps, you will leave her there. And she will keep destroy until the end, all the church. Little by little, one by one. In the beginning it was starting from the prophets, then little by little to everyone in the church. I'm really thankful today to God, to the leadership group, that when we saw and we felt the spirit of Jezebel here, we were able enough. We had enough knowledge, enough power, enough faith, enough braveness to stand against this spirit, instead of say yes and to give up. I know how God appreciates the church. I know how Jesus appreciates each of you. And it's better for one person to go away with the spirit of Jezebel than everyone else to suffer from this. And today I'm telling to the pastors, we need to have the heart of Ovadia, the one who will agree to keep and to take care, when the pastors will appreciate each of the people in the church and how important each of them for God. Listen, pastor. Now I will say maybe something to someone here or there, I don't know. You didn't die for them. You didn't give the blood of you for them. And if we as a pastors will understand how important and how God is appreciating each of us, every soul, every person, individual personality, and not just a big amount in the church. When the pastors will start to appreciate each prophet, individual, to accept the people as individualic personality, only then you will want to defend, to take care, to feed, to give, and everything else that we should do as a pastors. We need those pastors today, especially if the church has a prophetic service. The pastor should have the heart of Ovadia, that whenever will come a crisis, a national crisis or a church crisis, to have a person who will be able to defend, and it's not so easy. We are going inside and now we really can see what means a prophetic church, prophetic service, prophetic people. When we are ready, where we are not, what is to be mature. We don't need to have it just in our brains. It's building our spirit. We can check our reaction to things, to situations, to see our position here in the land or before God. It's important. We are going ahead to the third point. Eldad and Modad. Maybe some of you know about what I'm gonna talk. Sounds like two very funny names, but let's read about them. Let's open together Numbers 11 from sentence 24 to 30.
So Moses went out and told the people what the Lord had said. He brought together 70 of their elders and had them stand around the tent. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and spoke with him, and he took some of the power of the Spirit that was on him and put it on the 70 elders. When the Spirit rested on them, they prophesied, but did not do so again. However, 2 men whose names were Eldad and Medad had remained in the camp. They were listed among the elders, but did not go out to the tent. Yet the Spirit also rested on them, and they prophesied in the camp. A young man ran and told Moses, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. Joshua, son of Nun, who had been Moses' aide since youth, spoke up and said, Moses, my Lord, stop them. But Moses replied, Are you jealous for my sake? I wish that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit on them. Then Moses and the elders of Israel returned to the camp.
So what we just read. As we know, Moses was already old and it was already hard for him to lead all the people of Israel. God told to Moses to choose 70 of the old people in Israel and told him to bring all these 70 people he gonna choose to the tent, and God gonna give the Spirit through Moses to all those 70 that he chose. Imagine what amount of Spirit he had to pass it to 70 people. Imagine 70 people, it's whole church. What do you think is anointed person? One person standing and all those 70 people in front of him getting. So you know what actually happening in the meeting of the church? The same as happened with Moses and all those 70 that he chose. When one person anointed standing and God chose him, he gave him the God Spirit, and through this anointed person, the gifts, the spirits, everything that God put to this person, he is sharing this with everyone around him. God could said another thing. He could said to Moses, just put those people next to the tent, wherever they want, and I will come one by one. I will give them the Spirit. No, God chose Moses, and he chose to do it through him. And sometimes we are today, through one anointed person, through a server of God, we can get a lot in the Spirit. And the most interesting, what happened here in the story? Instead of 70 people that Moses chose, came just 68 people. 2 stayed there, they didn't came. The names of them are Eldad and Modad. They were supposed to come too. They were part of those 70 that Moses just chose. But they didn't came. And what we are used to think, you didn't came, you didn't got. Is it? And suddenly, people can see that those Eldad and Modad suddenly starting to prophet too, even though they were not next to the tent that Moses asked them to be. And Joshua ben Nun were in shock. He screamed to Moses and asked Moses to let them stop, to tell them to stop to prophet. They were not needed to prophet, they didn't came to the meeting. Look, the most interesting here is that we can read here in this place in the Bible about 70 old people that Moses chose. We don't know nothing about those 70 people except just 2 of them. We don't know no names except Eldad and Modad. 2 out of 70. Just because they didn't came to the meeting. Them names are coming to the Bible. Eldad and Modad. Maybe sometimes it's better for you not to go to somewhere, to a good place. We're thinking where everyone is there, we have to run after them. Not always. Don't look always. Wow, there is a big church. I have to be there, a big meeting. This is what people are looking for. And look, those Eldad and Modad, they didn't came to the big meeting. But the Spirit of God came also on them. You know why? Because the person that is in the heart of God, even if he will not go to the big meeting, the Spirit of God still will come down to him. Praise the Lord. No, Ilana, what are you talking about? We have to go to the big church. There are 68 people there, we have to be there. If there is less than 68, I'm not going. Listen, you are wrong. Eldad and Modad didn't went to nowhere, even though they called them. But look, we know them names, and the other 68 we don't even know a name. When Joshua ben Nun, the student of Moses, came, he screamed, "Stop them to prophet! Moses, what are you doing?" Moses answered to him, "What are you afraid? You think someone will not count me anymore if I will not stop them to prophet? You think I will not have the same respect? Listen, for me, for all the Israelis people, they will all prophet the same like Eldad and Modad did." Look what I want to say. Many people are thinking always that people like Eldad and Modad are wrong. Throw them to the blacklist. Why to do it? And the answer of those people is, they are not in my meetings, they are not in my service. If they are not included in my service, they cannot prophet. Pastor, stop them to prophet. Why I should stop them? Because they are not coming to the meeting of the house that I'm doing every Thursday. Listen, it doesn't mean that they will not be able to profit. Even if they are not part of your group of meeting or they are not part of your service, in your mini church in your house, if God chose them, they can profit in every place they are. The Spirit of God can come to every place. We need to be mature enough because many people thinking like this. Those are ours and those are no. Those came to the big meeting and those didn't. This is going between prophets and this is no. So he can profit and he cannot. Listen, even if there are many people in the body of the Christ, prophets, and they are not going to the big mega churches, the biggest famous churches that you know, big conference and famous clubs, even if they are not going there and they are not including between them. Listen, I even prefer to be between Eldad and Modad, to be in contact with them, than with big meetings, big churches and famous groups. You know why? Because I know that if those people were not following God, if they were not having a relationship with God, and they were not going to the meeting of everyone there, they for sure were not able to have the Spirit of God on them. But the fact that they didn't went to the big meeting and they stayed on the side and they still got the Spirit of God on them, it means that they are in the heart of God. And the person that in the heart of God, I want to keep in touch with a person like this and to be around him. But Joshua ben Nun understood it wrong. He went to Moses and said to him to stop them, to write them in the blacklist, throw them away from the old smart people from Israel. Why? Because they are not in our meeting, not in our service. Listen, we have to grow, we have to be mature. They're prophets, they're churches. As you know, we are a church that has a convert with another churches in the world. We have a convert with Andrei Shapovalov, and whoever doesn't know, this is my spiritual father. We are in convert for many years already. And there are few churches around the world that they are inside this convert. We are the only ones from Israel, and there are more from many other countries. But not all the churches in the world are in our convert, right? You can agree with me. Not every church in the world is in this convert with transformation center. But it doesn't mean that we will ignore now everyone else who is not in our convert with Andrei Shapovalov is against us, he is not with us, we are against him. We are blocking them, we are ignoring them from everywhere we can. No, this is not mature enough. And many churches, they have association, especially the religion ones, they are closing themselves. You are Eldad and you are Modad. You didn't came to the big meeting there. I cannot talk with you. Have you been in the big meeting or no? No, you were not there? Blacklist. I'm joking with you, right? God likes humor. But those are serious things. The religion teach us to do it. Always to separate and to divide between brothers and sisters. The church ours and the church of strangers. Listen, by the Spirit we have to feel each other. Last week I also said that we should feel in the Spirit and our spirit should react to brothers in the Spirit, the same as Elisheva, the mother of John the Baptizer, felt him inside her stomach when she met Maria, the mother of Jesus, when she was pregnant too. She felt who came in front of her. And if we are mature enough in the Spirit, we can feel what is connecting to our spirit and what is not. Many times I'm talking with someone for the first time and I'm telling them, listen, I'm feeling like I know you for years. Like I feel I know them and they feel like they know me and we keep talking and we have a big conversation, we have things to talk about. We are feeling like we're speaking in the same spiritual language. When we are understanding each other, our spirit is getting rich in this conversation. I'm talking with one pastor from another country. I will not say his name. First time we spoke together in the phone. And the feeling is like we know each other already for 40 years. Like we're talking together for every day and we know each other and we can speak about everything almost. And 1 hour and a half we can't stop talk. Do you know why? Because our spirits feel each other and we can talk and keep talk. And my dears, we have to destroy this religion mind. That everyone is not with us in the convert, that everyone that is not with us in the church is against us. Maybe today they are not with you, but tomorrow they will. Let to those people to walk in the Spirit and the gift that God gave them. A prophet, person of God, will feel the other prophet from 1 kilometer away, from thousands kilometers away through the phone call, without seeing each other face to face, never. Believe me. Sometimes I'm turning on some video in YouTube, and there is one prophet talking, preaching. I can clearly say and feel if it's in the same wave of spirit with me or no. But even if no, I will not ignore and throw him and block him away. The measure is that we have to learn how to accept another services of another people from another places, and different people from different gifts of prophets. Joshua ben Nun, it was very hard for him to accept that Eldad and Modad didn't came to the meeting, and even though they got the Spirit of God. Oh my God, Moses tell them to stop. We have to have the position of Moses, the major position of God. As Moses said, listen, Joshua, for me, for all the Israelis here around me, will profit the same like Eldad and Modad. I will not let no one to stop. The same as a pastor telling, I want everyone in this church to profit, for everyone to have this gift. Even if those people are not going to the meeting of the prophets every week, even if they have another service, let them all to have this gift of the prophecy. And this is normal. And even there in the other room, someone will profit now. Hallelujah. Let him be Modad, Eldad. Let's read one more place from the Bible. Marcus, number 9, 38 to 40.
Teacher, said John, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we told him to stop because he was not one of us. Do not stop him, Jesus said. For no one who does a miracle in my name can in the next moment say anything bad about me. For whoever is not against us is for us.
And how I like that Moses, without even knowing Jesus, acted the same as Jesus did. The students were the same. They saw someone else driving out demons in the name of Jesus, without being part of them, without being with them and with Jesus all the time. They didn't know this person. As today we're gonna say, he is not from our church, what he's doing. If this person is not from our church, he cannot driving out demons at all. Not from my service, not from my meeting in the house. In the name of Jesus, you are driving out demons? Listen, stop to do it, you cannot do it. And Jesus answered to them, do not stop him. If a person having the gifts of God, if he can serve God in the name of Jesus, who you are to stop him? Will try to stop him for 1,000 times. He will keep do it. You know, many people warn me to stop to do many things in my life. But when you're serving God, doing this from your heart, they were telling me, don't preach, don't give messages. I cannot. This is how I am existing. I'm a message on 2 legs. I cannot shut up. They told me, shut up, stop to do it. I cannot. You cannot stop people to walk in the gifts that God gave them. The opposite, if someone driving out demons, hallelujah. Jesus said, who is not against us, he is for us. Even if this person is not from your church, from your service, from your meeting house, not from your country. Listen, a prophetic church should walk into this vision for many years ago already. I believe we are walking into this. I believe that we are ready to hear this message. We are not here to divide the body of the Christ. So we should have to know who is in our blacklist. Many people today are hurtful on people who told them something that they were not able to hear, something that they were not able to accept. And someone who were them friends and were serving to them or to you, suddenly he became to be your enemy. Ask yourself why. Why I'm not talking with this person anymore? Why I'm not connecting with him? What called to this reaction to me? Maybe I should to react as David did, but I reacted the opposite, like the king of Israel, on the prophet Micha. Why I put this person in the black line list? Why I ignoring? Maybe because the things he told me was from God, and I was not mature enough to hear and to accept this word as a teaching from God. I want you to look at yourself today, inside yourself. Right now, everyone before God. We have to learn to be right with ourselves and before God. If in your life was a person that was serving to you, was next to you, and he was in a status of friend in your life, and suddenly something happened that you just throw him away from your life. You wrote him in the blacklist. You don't want to talk with him anymore. I'm asking you. Now God is talking to you. For you to ask forgiveness. I'm not talking about just the people that were hurtful in the street to you. I'm talking about a prophet, a pastor, someone that told you something that you were not able to accept it. Bring your heart. Don't walk with this blacklist inside your heart. It's heavy for you. With the people of God, it's taking you down. It's heavy to you, this blacklist. If in your life there are people that you did it with them, give it to God today. God, forgive us that I wrote in this blacklist those people that I was just not able to accept what they are telling, the words of you. Forgive me. That I was not ready and mature enough, as David was, and to say I was sinning and I accepting this word. Set free your heart. Don't hold those blacklists inside your heart. Say, God, take it. I want to set free my heart. I'm going into measure as David. If tomorrow Nathan will come to me and I will call him my friend and not my enemy, I will not start to say I'm right, I am, to tell him that he was wrong and I'm right. I will give the opportunity to you to talk through your prophets to my life. And this is my major decision. That I'm agreed to an anointed person, prophet, apostle, pastor, to talk to my life. And to give me those words that I need to hear from you. I don't need those words to calm down. I need to hear what you want to tell me. Forgive us. That we are always throwing away people to the blacklist. When we were needed to do the opposite and to listen to the advices or to an anointed person to our life. I'm praying for the people in the church for the churches to have Obadiahs, pastor with the heart of Obadiah. I'm asking for people to raise up, to be brave as Obadiah, to have the right heart before you, for them to be with heart for the prophets in the time of national crisis, or when the pastors were under attack, for them to keep the prophets, to keep the vision of the prophets and the prophetic vision of the church. For those pastors that you put to lead the church, for them to learn, to keep the vision, not to be afraid is evil, for not to be afraid for no price that they should pay, for them to take care of the service of the prophet and not to leave the vision, to take care and to raise up your prophets. Raise up those prophets in all the churches with the heart of Obadiah. Thank you that you are raising more and more prophet people. Thank you that we are raising up today in the church prophetic service with fresh spirit, fresh words. Thank you for our measure, that we are not letting no one to stop. Thank you that we have Eldad and Modad in the churches. Thank you for the prophets, even those who are not inside our church. It doesn't mean that we will ignore and we will stop them to preach. Thank you. Raise up more the prophets, more people, strong churches, where each of us, each of them, from the little to the big, has the prophetic gift, and going and doing your things, serving you and preaching about you. We want to see more and more people who are walking in your gifts. We are going into this measure as a prophetic church. We are accepting Eldad and Modad. We are not stopping them to preach and to walk in your spirit. We are thankful that you're giving us the chance to destroy all those blacklists that we made. Wherever we wanted to put Eldad and Modad, those people also who are throwing away demons, and they are not from our church and not from our meeting, not from our give us this measure to throw all those blacklists. Wherever we put people anointed, for us to go out from here free, ready. I'm praying for the church, for everyone who listening online. Give them the measure. For everyone will throw away the blacklist. The people who they were not able to forgive, I'm asking for today to come the freedom, the measure, more and more, anointed churches, anointed prophets in all Israel and in all the world, in the body of the Christ. More prophetic moving, more prophetic voice, that talking the truth, that they are not afraid, they are not going after the lie, they are getting world and setting the world in the land without scare, without afraidness, and they knowing that the words are of you, and no one gonna let them stop. No one gonna stop the prophets that God put them in His mouth. I'm thankful that they are major pastors, major churches that are letting, raising up and not down, people who are walking in the gift spirit. And we are thankful that you are giving us today this revelation. And without blacklist, be thankful to God. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. His holy name.